Hey everyone, how you doing? It's KenDeep. Thanks for tuning in again for another video. And today I want to talk about the light buttons. Specifically, why a lot of people underestimate the light button. Now, keep in mind that this is a topic that I want to talk about as broadly as possible. But of course, light buttons have a different function from game to game. So always keep that in mind when trying to apply this knowledge to your specific game and your character. Why are people underestimating the light button so much? When you get a newcomer who tries to learn fighting games, how it usually goes is they try to get a big combo with a heavy hit. They tend to forget what the advantages of a light button are. But before we talk about the advantages of a light button, let's define what the light button really means. Point number 1. Low startup. A light move usually has no more than 7 frames of startup frames. Somewhere between the realm of 3 frames to up to 7 frames. That's what I'm going to go with as a basis. Point number 2. Fast recovery. The recovery goes by so fast that you usually cannot react to the recovery itself. So whiff punishing a light normal is just not feasible. Point number 3. They tend to be safe. So I don't mean with that they're necessarily plus, but just that they are not punishable on block. However, there are also things that are not that great about light normals. So one of the things, and I think that's also the main reason why people try to not rely on light normals as much when they start with fighting games, is the low damage output. Now the damage output isn't only low because the damage from that light normal itself is low, but also because it affects scaling for the whole combo depending on the game. Now this is especially noticeable in games like Dragon Ball FighterZ or Grand Blue Vs. In Dragon Ball, it can make a difference between a touch of death or just 40% damage, if you're lucky. Now with that out of the way, we kinda have an idea of how a light normal is structured, as we now know what the properties of it are. So one of the things that a lot of people obviously use it for, and I'm using the obviously intentionally here, is for defense. Because it's fast, it can interrupt untrue block strings if the gap is big enough, so it's a good way to utilize the advantages of a light normal. Now, you know I wouldn't make this video if it was just this one use case that I wanted to talk about. It's obvious, most people use it. No. There are other use cases that I want to talk about that you might not be conscious of, and that are actually very good and regular reasons to use a light normal where you don't think it would be. A situation that you might not be aware of where it can be useful is for stuffing normals in neutral. And combined with the fact that your hurt box is not really as extended, you don't have to worry about getting hit from ranges where you wouldn't normally get hit from other normals. So in that regard, it's a very safe and also very good way to utilize your normal, in combination with autoconfirms, which I've also talked about in this channel. If you want to know more about that, click the link. Also another part where you might not be aware of the advantageous parts of a light normal is using light normals for offense. Especially in Grand Blue Vs. It's a good idea to use light normals for your offense structure. Being able to structure your offense in a way where the opponent has to commit to a choice instead of being able to react to something, as would be for a close heavy, for example, is really powerful. Now a third option that is actually quite useful, but not as much as the first two I would say, and that is using far Ls as reaction checks. So some people will try to get a special or try to poke when they see you whiff something. And if you whiff something that's not reactable or that doesn't extend its hurt box, then you can get punished for it, right? That's the idea of whiffing a 5L intentionally to make the opponent whiff something bigger, and then punish accordingly yourself. Lastly, there's one more thing that I've already talked about on this channel, and it's the auto combo OS in Dragon Ball. This is a very specific example, but it's also due to the nature of light normals. So if you're interested in that, check out the video. I will make it available somewhere on this thumbnail thing, I guess. To sum it all up, what are exactly the advantages of a light normal versus heavies? In a short sentence, that light normals are more consistent, they are more reliable, but they are also less rewarding. So it's these three things that tend to weigh themselves in a way where you have to be conscious of your decision making. That's what light normals really can do. Now, be aware of all these elements where you can apply the light normals, and I think you might already be able to level up your play considerably. But with that being said, thanks for tuning in, I hope this helped you out, and see you next time.